I have the Magic. This is another tough one.
Is it Jonathan Isaac because you haven't seen him play in half a decade?
Yeah, what you don't know. Yeah, we assume he's got even better.
But there's no
I went with
setback. He's just going to miss 2+ years from an ACL injury, and there's been no setback. That doesn't make any sense to me.
That's questionable. I think man, I guess if he'd played at all, he might have been in the running for this because I do think the ceiling for him is so intriguing. But at this point with the
What
injuries,
is he on
I just know
offense? What is he on offense?
a fifth option. I don't know. Yeah, a lot depends on that weird looking shot eventually going in more. And I don't know, maybe he becomes a better dive man. But on this team, getting to this, there's not a lot of room for him to play center, I don't think. So that's going to be an issue.
Well, I
And
guess Rolo and Bamba are technically expiring, so maybe. But yeah.
right. But the guy I'm picking, which is Wendell Carter Jr., which is another very good player that probably, well, you know what though? He plays in, who's watching Orlando? Who knows how good nobody knows how good this guy is. So it
Who?
counts as underrated.
Who
Yeah,
even is
right.
he?
Perfect. So here's a couple things. Quietly a really good rim protector. He's better than Mo Bamba, who in theory that's like one of the two main things Bamba's supposed to be good at. He's top five-ish if you sort of account for volume, holds guys to about 52% inside 6 feet. I think so. Defensively, I think you've got something there. Offensively, his shooting range is not there yet, but he's gotten up a couple more threes per game than before, and he's making long mid-rangers like a lot. So it's progressing out there slowly, and I think you could sort of extrapolate that to maybe it's not next year, but maybe he's going to keep making these little steps. He's at 33% on decent volume from deep, and again, it's as a center, like you got something to work with there. He's very high usage for a big, and he's not just scoring. He's actually a good passer. He's in the 80th percentile in assist rate for his position. So that's also something. I guess it's hard to sort of make much meaning out of this because the Magic are terrible and most of the backups are not good, but the best net rating on-off swing on the team. And put all that together, they're better with them on the floor. There's a real sort of case you can visualize for him being a high-end interior defender and a stretch big who can pass a little bit and who can finish inside. So to me, that kind of makes him profile as a guy that's going to make some all-star games, multiple, if things kind of continue on this track. Even if nobody's going to see it, it's going to be, difficult for him to get noticed because I think the Magic will be bad for at least another year, maybe two. But he's on kind of the shorter list of if I were putting together, who's going to make who might be primed for a leap in 22, 23. I think based on the step forward he's taken this year and just sort of how it looks trajectory wise, I think Carter would be on that list for me. So I think most people acknowledge he's got the fantasy numbers, I guess, which makes up a large percentage of how people perceive basketball player quality. But I don't think he's appreciated for like what he's doing right now in obscurity and what I think projects to be able to do.
I think that would be my pick as well. I thought about Jalen Suggs just because so many people seem down on him since his rookie year has been all over the place and it's been marred by injury a little bit. I still maintain when I watch him going downhill and some of the decisions he makes, even when it doesn't include necessarily finishing his own plays, I still think he's going to be really good. You could also make a case for Franz Wagner, where I think he'd be third on my rookie ladder. I don't know how I'm going to weight like playing time this year between him and Cade. And I haven't even looked at the gap at this point, but he is probably going to be no lower than fourth on that. And I'm not sure if he's receiving enough credit there. And I also think people sort of view him as a specialist on offense still for some reason, and I've said this on the podcast before, like he can put the ball on the floor. He can put his head down. People have bounced off him on his drives, but he's also has some nice like finesse, and like just to see that level of force and finesse mixed together on the move is impressive. I think it's Wendell Carter Jr. And I don't even know if you mentioned this, like, yeah, the 3-point shooting on his volume at 33%. So he's shooting 49+% from mid range. He's hit like 45% of his turnaround jumpers this year. I think he's the pick. And there are probably other like names that you could list up. Like some people might think it's Cole Anthony this season.
I would go the other way on Cole Anthony. I think he's a little overrated. The other guy, I think a lot of people assume Gary Harris is totally washed, and that's not the case. 39% from threes is still a good defender. I think he's going to
Shooting
get the
better than
mid-level at
50%
least.
on drives this year.
He's going to get the mid-level, right? Like someone's going to see him and say, like, this is we got a seventh guy who can play three and D. Like he's not, he's not great. He's not what he was when he signed that big deal in Denver before he got hurt. But he's another consideration I had before I went with Carter ultimately.
I feel like he's probably just going to end up back in Denver. Maybe it's on the mini MLE, and there's a team that's willing to offer him
so.
full MLE. I was convinced he was going to get bought out and end up in end up back in Denver, but he didn't. So, which is interesting that he didn't want to give money back. It's interesting that he stayed in, like, is there something to maybe they want his bird rights and they want to give him like this fat ass 1-year deal?
I mean, if you're he signed for like 80 million in 2017. So he's doing okay, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's it. I really hope he's back on a good team. He's another one of those guys that, like, certain guys are just worth more on a good team. And he's good enough to be a seventh guy or sixth guy or a spot starter on whatever, take Denver when Denver's healthy next year and they're a contender. So I'm into that.